Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. So as we enter the back half of The Flash's 9th and final season, we of course know we have a bunch of stuff coming our way, but of course we have the final storyline revolving around Cold Blue coming our way. But we also have a pretty big episode involving a variety of returning familiar faces. This, of course, being not this week in this upcoming episode, but just about under a month from now. In episode 9 of season 9, otherwise entitled "It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want To," which won't be airing until April 26th. I think it's April 26th, I think it is, due to a break after this week's upcoming episode, which is a bit disappointing just because that's an episode that people are really looking forward to. But in that episode, we of course have Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen returning alongside Diggle, Wally West aka Kid Flash, and Bloodwork. Now the specifics of this episode in regards to how certain things are allowed to play out are still mostly unknown, though maybe the end of this week's episode might set it up, or obviously a trailer after this week's episode, but that's a wait and see. But people have different theories and stuff. Is it Spectre? Is it Reborn? Is it time travel? Different reality? Multiverse? There's a lot of different theories out there. Maybe the trailer might give us a hint as to what's going on, but we'll wait and see. But in regards to Stephen Amell coming back as Oliver Queen, one of the big questions about his return was, whether episode 9 is the only episode he'll be in for this final season, because many, including myself, thought that if he was going to show up in the final season of The Flash, before it was announced, but if he was going to show up, in this final season of The Flash, but also just the Arrowverse's final season as a whole, that he would show up in the finale, like the final episode. That would be the episode he shows up in. But obviously, he's showing up in episode 9, but there was still that thought that maybe he would still show up in the finale, depending if episode 9 gave a proper farewell or not. Or maybe he might have recorded something while doing episode 9 that would have been used in the finale. Something along those lines. But up to this point, there hadn't been really any suggestions from Stephen Amell himself as to whether he was or wasn't in the finale. More specifically, anything saying he wasn't, until now. So Flash TV News said they spoke to Stephen Amell. I'm assuming it's an interview in advance for episode 9. It wasn't clarified here, but I'm going to assume that. But according to them, Stephen Amell said he is not in the Flash series finale. However, his return in episode 9 is very much worthwhile. So what are the thoughts on this? Well, look, this might be Stephen Amell mixing words. We do know that Stephen likes to not do trolling. It's not trolling, but it's like, hey, well, I won't tell you exactly what it is, but here's a bit of a hint. I mean, he was denying that he was showing up in the final season of The Flash for a while, and then it happened. So you never know with Stephen which road he's going down. So there is, he might be playing with words here, saying like, hey, well, I didn't film during the series finale of The Flash, but I'm not saying, that's all I'm saying there. I won't give you anything more than that. So maybe he didn't film during the dates of the series finale, but maybe he did something, while doing episode 9. However, you have a feeling that he won't be in the finale, because you'd think if he was just going to show up, it would just be for one episode and they would handle the emotions around that in that specific episode, which, as we know, is episode 9. That's where he's showing up. There's a lot of focus around it, everything like that. So you think that would be where we get the emotional goodbye to Oliver Queen in that episode. Now, in regards to what that specifically, could be, I think it's going to be like a very personal thing between Barry and Oliver, you would have to think. Like, we, as Arrow viewers, back in Arrow's final season, got that goodbye to an extent pretty much from episode 1 to the final season up until Crisis started. Like, really, they say goodbye to Arrow as a show and the Oliver Queen character at that point. And obviously at that point, we didn't know Oliver died in the first episode of Crisis. Like, that was a big shock. We knew he was going to go away, but we weren't too sure how exactly it was going to happen. So him dying that quickly was a bit of a shock. But all the episodes previous to that in Arrow's final season sort of gave that farewell almost to the point where the series finale was, in my opinion, pointless. I'd sort of checked out emotionally by that point. But they did all the work there. So I'm very interested to see what they do in this 9th episode, because I think it is going to be more like a Barry and Oliver thing rather than maybe us, the audience, though we'll still be tapped in and, committed to it and, feeling for it as well. I just do wonder if it's more of like a Barry and Oliver thing, which I wouldn't mind, to be completely honest, and maybe even Diggle as well, chucking him in, because he's going to be in the episode as well. Now, I'm assuming because it's a big episode, Stephen Amell will do interviews and stuff, which, was hinted at with this Flash TV News tweet, but we might be waiting until the week of the episode for that to come out, I'm guessing, which, as I said, it's a bit longer of a wait because it's a break after episode 8. Now, in regards to other characters, as I mentioned, Diggle and Wally are also in this episode. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle the Oliver Queen thing and how they wrap that up. But of course, this is like potentially, if not most likely, the final appearances for both Diggle and Wally, especially Wally. Now, we had heard that Wally West has an important role in this episode. I think it was Eric Wallace when talking about Kenan Lonsdale coming back, but it seems like it will be a bloated episode, which isn't necessarily a negative thing to say. It can just be a bit of like maybe some whiplash back and forth on what you're getting caught up with within the episode. Like, oh, you're feeling stuff for Oliver and then, like the Barry and Oliver stuff, but then apparently Wally's got a very important part in the episode as well. So it sounds like there's a lot of stuff happening. But yeah, it should be like a very emotional one to watch, seeing we will at least be saying goodbye to Oliver and Wally specifically. And I don't include Diggle in that because you're just not sure about Diggle, because you can never predict the Diggle movements. He always has a surprise up his like cameo sleeve, if you want to put it. You never know if he's just randomly going to show up and be like, oh, I'm back for one more episode. How are we going? Like, you never know with Diggle. But with Oliver and Wally, like, these are the two characters that we are definitely saying goodbye to. And Oliver's like the one, as I said before, we like technically a lot of people have already said goodbye to him in Arrow and Crisis and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people maybe just have their emotions in check in regards to how they're going to handle that, and just more excited to see Oliver again. With Wally, it's interesting because Wally is like, you know, he's a part of the Flash family. You know, Joe, Iris, Wally, the West family, everything like that. So yeah, I'm interested to see see how they handle Wally. Because I wish we would have gotten more of him, but just things didn't line up the way that they, you know, potentially could have, or for the best. So yeah, I mean, Wally's the one I'm very, very curious about heading into this episode, and I think he's the one that I hate using this term, but he's being, you know, slept on. You know, I think Wally is probably the character in this episode that is being slept on a bit. And maybe that's why Eric Wallace, I think it was Eric Wallace, said that thing in that interview where he talked up sort of like Wally's importance to the episode. So maybe that might be why, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But I think Wally potentially could be the most emotional part of the episode, but I don't know, we'll wait and see. Now, moving on from episode 9, we're just going to go backtrack it a bit to episode 8. So in an interview with TV Line, which we will talk about over the next week or so, like the bigger parts of it that sort of expand outside of a specific episode, but Grant Gustin did talk about this week's upcoming episode, episode 8, otherwise entitled Partners in Time. It's Partners in Time. Some places have said Partners in Crime. I guess just one of those confusing ones where people get it mixed up. I guess it's like with Rogues of War, they misspelled it and said Rouges of War. But anyway, Partners in Time, that's the name of the episode. Now, Grant described the episode as a bottle episode, which isn't very surprising based off the trailer. It just looks like a bottle episode. And also he says it has a bit of a sitcom vibe, or a situational comedy vibe, which once again isn't overly surprising based off the trailer. Now, as we pointed out in the trailer, it appears that the Flash Museum is in the episode at some point. Now, we don't know if that is something connected to what is specifically happening with Barry and Iris throughout the episode, seeing that in the future, Star Labs, of course, becomes the Flash Museum, or if it is something different. But seeing we're dealing with like weird, crazy time anomalies showing up randomly where Barry and Iris are, and they are stuck in what will be the Flash Museum in the future, you'd maybe have to think they're connected, but it also seems like maybe it's random museums being connected. I don't know. It seems a bit confusing based off what I'm seeing here, but I guess we'll wait and see. But it's a bit all over the place, but I'm sure it'll be fun. Hopefully it's fun. At least Barry's the main part of the episode, which is always, I guess, like a silver lining. And the last thing about episode 8 is that I did actually mention a few videos back. I think it was a few videos back. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in a video when talking about episode 8 that Peter Kalamis, who voiced Goku of all characters in Dragon Ball Z for a bit, would be in this episode physically. And there was a sneak peek which showed that he would be someone that shows up in this like, what's it, like the Speed Lab? Is that the area they call it in Star Labs? The Speed Lab area that Barry and Iris are stuck in. So maybe if you hear a bit of a Goku voice coming through from a character, that's Peter Kalamis. Yeah, that's why. You're like, hey, that sounds a bit like Goku. What the hell? I think you also voiced Master Roshi, I think, from what I could tell online. So, yeah, if you hear a bit of Goku or maybe some Master Roshi or a bit of both coming through, that's why. He wasn't the main actor, but he did it for like 1 or 2 seasons on Dragon Ball Z. So, yeah, just keep that in the back of your head, I guess, going into this episode. Now, I have mentioned the break before, which I know the break's going to be very annoying, especially considering it's the break before the goddamn Oliver Queen episode. But that's the last break. People have been asking, is that the final break? From what we know, that's it. And that mainly comes down to the fact that there's no more time after that break for after episode 9 comes out for any more episodes or any more breaks, because the finale has to air on May 24th based off the CW schedule, where I think it's Nancy Drew or something like that. Another show is premiering on May 31st in the Flash's time slot. So unless the Flash is moving days randomly for its last couple of episodes, then there's no more breaks. And I think that's smart. You get episode 9, this Oliver Queen return episode, and then the entire Cobalt Blue and finale storyline for the show, all in a row, no breaks, straight bang. That's the best way to do it. So that's actually a good sign. So yeah, doesn't seem like there's any more breaks, which is a good thing. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about this. What are you looking forward most to in episode 9? Is it Oliver Queen's return? Is it Wally? Is it Deagle? Maybe it's Bloodwork. Maybe it's Allegra. I don't know. Actually, that might be a litmus test to see who needs to get blocked. But anyway, let me know in the comment section your various thoughts on that. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.